This is game 2 of match 2 of the Modern Daily. Just to reiterate, I'm playing against Infect. I took out 4 sleight of hands for 2 lightning bolts and 2 dispels. This time he gets to decide if he wants to play first or not. Draw this hand's clearly awful. 3 lands, basically no action, and the Grape Shot and the Passive Flames, which I don't really want in my opening hand. He kept 7, I mulled down to 5. There's an argument for keeping this hand, but there's really, it's really iffy. Against a deck that kills you fast, I wouldn't recommend it. But usually you don't keep no-land hands with probes. It's just super greedy, and I like to try to aggressively mulligan. I settle here because I have 2 cantrips, an Electromancer, and fetches to power a cruise. I'll get my graveyards opened. Leads off on a Windswept Teeth breeding pool into Hierarch. So I drew a second probe, so I probe him. When I was actually playing the game, I clicked through this really fast, so I didn't actually know if he had anything at all. But he has a Blighted Agent, an Inkmoth Nexus, Might of Old Corrosion, and a Mutagenic Growth, which is a completely reasonable hand for that deck. You don't kill them super early, but it doesn't take too long either. Something of note, this deck is slightly positioned slightly worse against us because they don't seem to have the Glistener Elf. If they had the Glistener Elf, I would be able to I would be much more likely to just die on turn 2 or 3, but since they don't have that, they rely off a Blighted Agent and Viridian Corruptor. I have a chance of surviving a lot longer. So I draw my card, I didn't know what he had. I play the fetch, I fetch, and just get a Steam Vents tap so I can F6. Plays another land, plays a Blighted Agent, no big deal. He doesn't attack with the Hierarch, which if you're not doing anything, you might as well. Really all that's doing is protecting him from a bolt, which then he'd have to spend both of his pump spells. He might have drawn something, I don't actually know. So here I play the Delta, fetching at an island, which I like to do whenever possible, and I just run out the Electromancer and say go. At this point I don't have anything going on at all. So here he might have Old Corroses and Distortion Strikes it, and then attacks me for 7 Infect. So at this point, I'm kind of worried that I'm just going to die. Thankfully, he doesn't really have, he didn't draw a second Mutagenic Growth or anything. So here, I play an Ascension, probe to see what's going on, get a counter on the Ascension, and I just see the Mutagenic Growth on a forest that doesn't matter. So at this point, I realize I'm dead next turn. Unless I drew Dispel. I forgot that he had exiled the Distortion Strike to rebound onto a next turn. So what I didn't realize is I actually had to kill him right now, but I drew the Dispel. So I'm like, oh, okay, I can just survive next turn. So I play, and I fetch, and I get a mountain. I don't know why. I didn't know what I was doing. I had the clear plan that I was going to Dispel Mutagenic Growth. Something just told me, fetch, get a mountain, cast Manamorphose, make a red and a blue, which I did, and I just whiff. At this point, I'm kind of beating myself up because he doesn't, he wouldn't have been able to kill me otherwise, which still isn't actually true. No, yeah, it is. In my mind, with the Mutagenic Growth, he could only deal 2 between the Inkmoth and the Blighted Agent. I forgot about the Distortion Strike, so I was going to hold up Dispel and just Dispel Mutagenic Growth whenever he cast it. And after counting through, realizing what I did, I just conceded here to save some time. So at this point, I realized that Dispel's actually probably not where I want it to be. I'm not completely sure why I decided it in to begin with. So I took that out and just added back into Sleight of Hands. So basically, my board now is -2 sleight of hands plus 2 bolts. And game 3 is up next.